There are many things to analyze when comparing two different languages. English and Spanish are languages that derive from different linguistic families. For this reason, they have a lot of differences. First, the adjective function and the conjugation of verbs are very dissimilar. Next, in some cases, the sentence structures don't have the same form. The adjective function differs in both languages. First, in English, adjectives are premodifiers. It means they are positioned generally before the noun we are qualifying, while in Spanish, they are premodifiers. In other words, they go after the noun we are giving qualities. Example in English, I saw a beautiful dog downtown. We can see that beautiful, which is the adjective, goes before the word dog, which is the noun. In contrast, in Spanish is totally the opposite. Let us see one example. Tengo una casa grande. In this case, the word grande, which is the adjective, goes after the noun casa. This is one of the main differences concerning adjectives. Besides, verb conjugation has diverse forms in both English and Spanish. Firstly, let us take a look at conjugation of the verb to teach in English. I teach, you teach, he, she, it teaches, we teach, you teach, they teach. We can conclude that the indicative form doesn't suffer any change when it's conjugated, except for the third person in singular, which add an s to the end of the verb, depending on some rules. Notwithstanding, conjugation in Spanish is quite different, since it has one different form for each personal pronoun. Let us conjugate the verb amar. Yo amo, tú amas, él, ella ama, nosotros amamos, vosotros amáis, ellos aman. It means that we can omit the pronoun, because we would guess the pronoun by means of the conjugation. Well, in English, that is not possible. Moreover, phrases in English and Spanish are two or more words that have logical meaning without using a verb. They are not complete sentences, they are used as a part of sentences. A phrase can be used as the subject of a sentence, as the complement of a verb, as an appositive. Usually, the word modified in the phrase is called the head, and there are 5 kinds of phrases depending on the part of speech that we are modifying. They are noun phrase, adjective phrase, verb phrase, adverb phrase, and prepositional phrase in English, and frase nominal, frases adjetivas, frases verbales, frases preposicionales, and frases adverbiales in Spanish. That means we modify one part of speech by means of pre and post modifiers. Generally, in Spanish, the head of the phrase goes before, while in English it goes after the modifiers. A clause is a grammatical unit that can express a proposition by itself. There are 2 kinds of clauses, independent and dependent clauses. In English, an independent clause can be a simple sentence since it has a subject and a verb. Example, I study at Universidad de Antioquia. They also serve to form simple and compound sentences. We generally use coordinating conjunctions like for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so to join them. In Spanish, it functions the same way. We use conjunciones coordinativas simples like y, e if the following word begins with an i, o, u if the following word begins with o, ni, pero, sino, más, menos, salvo. Example, Pedro trabaja y María estudia. Although dependent clauses do have subject and predicate, they do not express a thought by themselves. They are joined to an independent clause to form complex sentences by means of subordinating conjunctions, like after, as, because, before, if, since, so, that, than, though, unless, until, when, where, whether, while, why, or relative pronouns, who, which, that, whom, whose. The girls who live in Spain are very intelligent. In Spanish, dependent clauses are also joined to an independent clause by subordinating conjunctions like que, como, cuando, mientras que, pues que, si. Example, como no trabajo, no como. Or relative pronouns, que, quien, el cual, lo que, lo cual, cuyo. The sentence is the largest grammatical unit. It expresses a complete thought. It has a subject and a verb and generally ends with a punctuation mark. In English, they are divided in simple, also called independent clause because it expresses a complete thought. Example, some people like to pray in the afternoons. Complex sentences are formed by an independent clause joined to a dependent clause by means of a subordinator. Example, the students are studying because they have a test tomorrow. Compound sentences are formed by two independent clauses connected with a coordinator. Example, I try to speak Spanish and my friend try to speak English. In Spanish, there is oración simple, which has one subject and one verb. Example, estudio en la Universidad de Calgary. La oración compleja is divided in three groups: coordinación, subordinación y juxtaposición. In la coordinación, there is no relation between the two clauses, so they are joined by a coordinator. Example, estudio en la universidad pero también trabajo en un restaurante. In the subordinación, there is one clause that depends on the other. Example, mis padres quieren que yo viaje a Venezuela. And finally, in the juxtaposition, the two clauses are not joined. They do not have a relation, so we use generally a semicolon to join them. Example, mis padres quieren regresar a Venezuela. Yo me quedaría aquí.